Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the pay-per-view recap show. I am your host, the Macho Fan, and I'm joined as always with my co-host, Joey Irving. How are you doing, Joey?
I'm fantastic, man. And we got a lot to talk about. Well, maybe a lot to talk about with Full Gear. It was really good, but we'll get into it.
We will definitely get into it, but we do have to start off by saying I believe this might be the best pay-per-view of the year. Do you agree with that statement, or how would you rank this pay-per-view? It's the last pay-per-view of the year for AEW. What are your thoughts going into the 2020 year?
Do you think Full Gear was better than All Out? This past All Out was really good.
I do agree. This past All Out was very, very good wrestling wise, in the match wise. But I feel with this pay per view Full Gear, we got more of the storytelling completion. Yeah. I feel like it's kind of like when you're watching a TV show and you have like episode 4 or episode 7 is usually the peak episodes and like a 10 episodes, and this was a great evolution of the whole story. It's a pay-per-view that's been literally years in the making, and we finally got what we wanted. And before we get into it too much, let's get started with the pre-show, in which was a longer pre-show than I thought normal, but I guess they went on YouTube just a little bit, like 30 minutes beforehand, because I was like, saw it on, and there's just a bunch of like pictures of everything going on, and it kind of held me. I thought we were going to get a couple matches on the pre-show, but instead we just got the one they advertised, which was Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter versus Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida, who I'm glad to see that they are not forgetting about Hikaru Shida, because I felt like she was kind of getting forgotten in the AEW's women's division, with Britt Baker getting the title, Thunder Rosa showing up, Jamie Hayter being that special guest for Britt Baker. I felt like Hikaru Shida was kind of getting thrown under the mix, getting the Asuka treatment, if you were. But it was a fun match. It was great to see Jamie Hayter. I just love the way she like works in the ring. She reminds me of like a stronger Toni Storm. Like if Toni Storm and Charlotte kind of merged together. And then I was thinking that they were going to give Thunder Rosa the win too. And instead, it is going to be Hikaru Shida that gets a cool looking pin on Nyla Rose, and then we got Serena Deeb. Yeah, Serena Deeb then comes out and comes face to face, and then gets taken out. Any things about this match? I didn't like. It was a great. I was telling you earlier, like it was a match that was kind of on while I was like getting stuff ready. Kind of like took me by surprise. I was getting my platter ready for the feast to come. I didn't get to see much of the action here. Did you get to see much of this match?
I didn't watch the pre-show. I'm a bad wrestling fan. I didn't watch the pre-show.
Well, I mean, I remember like when I got down and sat down and saw like the last couple minutes of the match, I was like, okay, like it felt like it was a good match. Crowd seemed to be into it. They were probably hot, getting ready for start the show. And when we did start the show, we did get a fantastic opening match between Darby Allen and the salt of the earth, MJF. Joey, how'd you feel this match went?
Great match, great storytelling, top to bottom. MJF and Darby Allen have proven that they will be the future of AEW, and I just really enjoyed the match. The story they did was great, and it could be over, maybe not, possibly, I don't know, but I would definitely like to see another match with those two down the line. For sure.
Oh, these guys will probably have one of the longest feuds in wrestling history because of how young they are and how talented they are. But I loved the match, especially when it started out, and they were wrestling. MJF was teasing that they're gonna do he's gonna beat him with the head scissors takedown or with the headlock.
Yeah.
And they were literally. It reminded me of like old timey wrestling where it was about the moves. They were working for position. They were trying to get the better of each. It didn't seem like it was like flippy choreographed. It made it work. They were doing headlight takeovers. They were shoving each other to the ground. Darby Allen was moving throughout the ring like a hot spark plug. It was awesome. And then we saw the Scorpion Deathlock, the homages to Sting, and MJF just plays that heel role so well.
Oh yeah.
And oh man, with the coffin drops, yeah, like it was such a good match, great opening of the match, and in the end, MJF tried to get Darby Allen to take him out with the skateboard, get DQ'd, and Darby Allen refused to do it, but while the rest distracted getting the skateboard out of the ring, MJF pulls out that diamond ring, which more long-term storytelling. I love the fact that he still uses that diamond ring to knock out Darby Allen and steal the win.
Do we get a
but yeah,
potential MJF Wardlow Sting Darby Allen match maybe?
I do believe that's because Sting did come out in an attack, or try to fight off
or somebody from the Pinnacle at least. They don't have to be Wardlow exactly, but it could be Shawn Spears and MJF against
I do think we are going to get a Wardlow breakup of MJF.
That's definitely happening.
They keep teasing that MJF is the salt of the earth, and that's just another story that they're just building up to, and I can't wait to see what they do with that because it's something long time coming.
MJF won't get hurt by the loss to Wardlow if he loses.
Right, yeah, and it's one of those things that makes a star of Wardlow, and Wardlow's already a star. And people who are already stars that don't need to be made into more stars, but if they did, they're gonna bust into a supernova. That is the Lucha Brothers versus FTR in the AEW Tag Team Championship match. I did not know who to pick to win this match. It could have gone either way. It literally could have gone either way. I love the way it did end because they're going to have to do the rematch. And this is how you book rematches. And granted, Raw tries to do this all the time too, but if you guys did not watch the show, Cash Wheeler puts on the Rana's mask and goes into the ring pretending to be Dax Harwood, eats the pin when he's not the legal man. And so they tricked the ref, and so they're going to have to come out on Wednesday and be like, well, you didn't really count the regular man. You counted, and we have to do the rematch. And it was just such a well-built match. I love the Three Amigos, and then the Frog Splash, the shout-out to Eddie Guerrero. And then the ending, like I was saying, like it was a great use of a distracted ending.
All around, like the near falls, like even again, like the storytelling in this match was great. Like especially what you said about I guess you could say like not an actual finish because the legal man didn't get pinned was great too to build off that story. So it was just all around a great match.
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of people probably might say there's a lot of false finishes, but it's a tag team AEW match. What are you gonna expect?
Exactly.
I mean, you can't, and one match I did expect was Miro versus Bryan Danielson. That's going to be hard to keep saying, but yes, because we were expecting it was supposed to be Moxley versus Bryan Danielson, and then Moxley obviously had to deal with real life first, and we support him and hope he gets better soon and deals with all that safely and soundly. But in the meantime, we get some awesome wrestling matches. A match did they ever face off in WWE? I'm trying to think of Rusev and Daniel Bryan.
It was like 2014 or 15, I believe they faced off.
Yeah, and so it's definitely a new style for both of them, and I thought this match was great, especially to see them loose and see them free. I love the way it was like a technical match the whole way through. Like this was like one of those old school, like just beat him up and then hit him with. It felt like an old Kurt Angle match, like when it used to be all about trying to hit the submissions. Oh man, Miro is just so strong. That's just one thing you have to get from like Miro is just so strong, and Daniel Bryan just took everything, and it ended up being great in that the triangle, that triangle choke that like ended the match. Oh man, or the guillotine. That's what it was, the guillotine choke. Man, it was just beautiful the way they set that up. Like, I don't know how Bryan Danielson is going to continue this pace right now because it literally is like he's doing UFC fights every week.
Oh yeah. People who sleep on Miro, like Miro, I feel like Miro is really underrated. Miro's a really good worker. Like he even showed he can be technical with Bryan Danielson. Probably one of the most technical wrestlers in the world in Bryan Danielson. Like, I don't know. People sleep on Miro and he doesn't get a lot of credit, but Miro is really good.
Yeah, and I was thinking Miro was gonna get the win tonight. I was really thinking it was gonna be him versus the new AEW or
Whoa,
being the
whoa,
new #1 contender for the AEW championship is what I meant to say. Uh, and then, but we do get Bryan Danielson taking that spot, so I'm happy to see him get that spot. But we always say this. Everyone gives AEW this, especially when they first came in with Brody Lee, with Miro. They bring in these WWE guys and put them straight into the spotlight. If you have a person like Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, you have to put this in the spotlight. And this match kind of showcased why.
That's the same thing like when Chris Jericho was the first ever AEW World Champion. There was no other person you could put in that role besides Jericho.
Yeah, especially if you wanted to get wrestling fans in. Like you couldn't. Kenny Omega wasn't a big enough star. Hangman Adam Page was a nobody. Jericho is literally the only face you could really give it to.
Yeah.
Speaking of face to give it to, we had a face-off between the SuperKliq and the Jungle Express with Christian Cage, or Jurassic Express with Christian Cage. And this match was great. Yeah, much better than I was anticipating. Mainly, I thought it was going to be a lot of spot monkey work, which it kind of was. But the false count anywhere aspect, I felt like it was going to get muddied in a way, but they kind of stayed true to it. I love Jungle Boy just coming out like literally in his streetwear attire instead of like his normal ring attire. It kind of set the mood, and then they had all the spots for it. Like we got to see the fun moments. Cole got busted open real early. Bunch and top hitting moves. The spear on the mat on the ramp was cool. There's just a lot of cool matches. It was just a fun match.
Yeah.
And then we ended. Go ahead.
No, if people don't think the Young Bucks are one of the best tag teams in the world, then they're crazy. Like they've proven time and time again they can go at a top level in top matches for a while. Like they're really good. And obviously Adam Cole's really good too. So.
Yeah, and especially with this match building this that's what I was going back to earlier. This pay-per-view was all about building storylines, adding to the legacy, and that's how this match ends. We saw, I believe it was Matt Jackson or Nick. I think it was Matt Jackson on the ramp.
Yeah, I think it was Matt,
Christian's about to give him the one-man concerto, but Jungle Boy stops him and ends up hitting him with the concerto and then doing the pin. Are we expecting a more violent run from Jungle Boy now? Is this kind of supposed to be an early tease of a heel turn?
He is growing the beard out, so maybe he's changing his look. But before we move on from this, Christian Cage, he's like what, almost 50, and he's still performing at a high level. Like Christian Cage, he's killing it right now. And
I did hear that someone made an argument that Christian Cage has had a better comeback to wrestling than Edge.
I believe that.
Edge, and people say, oh, well, Edge is he's performing. Yeah, he is performing. He did have that Royal Rumble moment. He had the greatest wrestling match of all time, and he had a few big WWE pay-per-views. Couple great promos on SmackDown and Raw. But other than that, like, Christian Cage is weekly, bro.
Christian's
the best ability is availability.
Yeah, Christian's a former Impact World Champion recently, like not like 10 years ago, like recently.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is like he's had the same kind of pedigree of matches.
Yeah.
And so I would agree. I think Christian Cage has had a better run on the come up since retirement, I would say.
And also, what a very good like ending to that match. Just all the stuff Jungle Boy's been through, just to kind of have Christian give him that concerto spot, which is that's really good too as well. Like tying a bow around that perfect story they did. So.
And passing on the baton, putting over the younger talent, which is Jungle Boy is they're one of. I mean Jungle Boy, I'd say is their first. Yeah, he's their first homegrown talent. He was I guess he was doing stuff before, like in the Indies, but I mean Jungle Boy is he is pretty well known. And speaking of homegrown, we got to move to the next match, which we have the Homelander Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black and Andrade El Idolo. And then for some reason Cody has Pac with him, but I mean storylines, right? That's supposed to be the story of the night. But anyways, it was a good match.
I liked it, yeah. I'm not a real big fan of Cody Rhodes, but I just don't like his matches. But he put on a good match.
I just really hope this ends with Cody Rhodes becoming like a full-blown heel. Like, that's the only, like,
so
him, like, coming through the crowd all the time, giving his belt to the fans at ringside, and, like, just begging for, like, cheers, basically. I feel like there had to be, like, and then we saw those, like, instances, like, Cody was tagging himself in on this spot, and I feel like we're just building up to full-blown
I'm waiting for a day
Rhodes.
where Cody comes out on Dynamite, just craps all over the fans' hopes and dreams, and just becomes the prince of pro wrestling like he was before.
I mean, I feel like it's all gonna call back to that when he dyed his hair black, and he was like, "Oh no, I don't really want to turn heel yet." Like, that's the moment he really was turned heel, but we just don't know it.
Oh yeah.
That's when he became Homelander. And then anytime we get to see the Black Arrow, I am happy. I am just sad that Andrade had to eat the pin. But then again, I didn't think Malachi was going to eat the pin. So who was going to eat the pin, I guess? I thought it was going to be Cody Rhodes, but a great intensity match all around. How do you feel? Do you think it's going to lead to a Pac versus Cody Rhodes next? Because that's kind of what
I could see that. I think they need to move on from the Andrade Pac and Andrade and Pac thing and Malachi Black and Cody, and just have Pac and Cody go at it. That'd be
I mean, it'd be something that give him something to do. Pac's kind of underused.
I wouldn't know how I feel about Pac being a babyface per se. I think they should put Pac as the heel and leave Cody as a face for now at least. But that's just my thing. I can't get behind Pac as a face. I don't buy it.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, the man Gravity forgot.
That was such a good one, right?
I loved that one. All right, and then speaking of also my loves, I do love the one from Britsburg. She has her doctorates in medicine from dental, and she is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, AEW's world champion, and she defended it against Ty Conti. In an amazing match. I always love Britt Baker's moveset. I guess the ending was the only kind of problem I had. We didn't get anything that was able to showcase a dominant win, which is probably the reason they're kind of trying to build this up for a little bit more. But I just love the way Britt Baker is able to use her abilities. Like, it seems so when she does it's like watching Mick Foley in a weird way. It's like it's so precise in all her moves, and I feel like she's a doctor. Like, when she does a move, it's probably gonna hurt.
Yeah, I do gotta say I was very surprised. I wasn't real big on Ty Conti as like a wrestling ability, but she really like showed up and showed out with Britt Baker. I'm a fan of her now, so.
And again, I'm trying to remember the ending. I know she like rolled her up on a pin, but I just wish there was the lockjaw. Yeah, I wish I mean, don't get me wrong. You have to get the roll ups every now and then, but a roll up for a championship, it's just
It also protects Ty Conti too. So she didn't lose. She didn't tap out by the lockjaw.
Well, that's more respectable in my opinion. I wish, because they almost had it locked in before. I thought that's how it was going to end, but it just do you think Ty Conti is going to win the belt, or do you think it's going to?
I think Thunder Rosa beats Britt Baker down the line. I think that's the next AEW Women's Champion, Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa, I can see that. Who do you think is going to be the TBS champion?
Ruby Soho. Either Ruby Soho or Jade Cargill.
Ruby Soho, destination.
It makes sense to have either her or Jade Cargill as the first.
Jade is definitely my pick to win it as well. Because of the fact the way they've built her. She is their female Brock Lesnar.
Mind seeing a Jade Cargill and Ruby Soho feud too for the title. That'd be a dope feud to have.
Yeah, and even if they traded it once or twice throughout, then I could see that just to give Ruby that pop, and then give it right back maybe a couple weeks later. Because I like Jade Cargill. Like, I was. Like, when she first popped up on the scene, you're like, "What? Who is this? And why does she look amazing?"
And that amazing Shaquille O'Neal match they had. That match was so good.
I mean, I don't think you're being facetious, because I thought that, like, people were saying that,
everyone was shocked. I really enjoyed the match.
Yeah, everyone was shocked how good I mean, come on, we gotta start giving celebrities credit.
That table spot was kind of but I mean the match was still good overall. Like,
so do we eventually have to give David Arquette credit?
Yeah, David Arquette's David Arquette's the greatest WCW World Champion of all time. Like, I don't care.
Okay, well let's not get out of hand here, but I just gotta say, because everyone doesn't want to be known as the guy who killed wrestling. I mean, well, not. I guess if you're a celebrity, if you're Pat McAfee, if you're Shaquille O'Neal, if you're Bad Bunny, you know, you watch this all the time growing up, and you have respect for it. Like you have, who's the Arrow?
Stephen Amell.
Stephen Amell, yeah, like they love this. Like they have to put their effort into it. I think
Stephen Amell, Pat McAfee, and Bad Bunny have been probably the 3 best celebrity wrestlers in the past decade. In my opinion.
I can agree with that. Pat McAfee's match, blew my mind. Yeah. I was literally, when he did that jump up on the top rope and then did the backflip.
And his War Games match was dope too. Like that War Games match he had was dope too.
Oh, the War Games, and he did the swanton off the top. Like,
yeah, that's so good.
When you put that much effort into your match, it shows, and it shows when you have the passion for it and when you're an athlete.
And then Bad Bunny with that wicked Canadian destroyer on the outside.
Oh yeah, when Bad Bunny hit that was a mind blown right there. It's like, because you know that doesn't seem like it's that when you watch it in slow mo. You're like, oh well, it's just a flip Canadian and a backflip. Right. It doesn't. Yeah, but when you see it like work out, you're like, wow, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I remember when I first saw the Canadian destroyer, I'm like, how is that not everybody's finisher? That's like the new DDT. Yeah, it's the SuperKliq of the 90s.
Yeah.
I wish we had the SuperKliq line for our previous one, because I could have took that in the SuperKliq. Instead, I have to take it to someone who's a little bit better at promos, and that is CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, who put on... Well, first off, I got to talk about how great their promo was. In 2 weeks, these guys put on probably the best promo feud that AEW has seen and made this match a must watch. It was hard hitting too. I love Eddie Kingston too when he's angry. Like it was a great match. It was just great to see them beat each other down. Like you felt like there was passion in it, and it was just man, I wanted Eddie Kingston to win it so bad too. But no, a couple GTSs, and Eddie Kingston did, in fact, go to sleep. But what was interesting, though, is Punk offered to shake his hand afterwards, and Eddie Kingston refused. Do you think that's going anywhere? Do you think it's just Eddie Kingston's
going to... Kingston being Kingston. I mean, he's already pretty much a tweener athlete. He's not really a heel or a face. He's kind of like Moxley in a way, you know? So yeah. I don't really think it's going to be a heel turn, per se. I will say I think the match didn't go as long as it should. I think the match was shorter than it probably expected to be. It didn't feel as long as like the other matches did, you know. And I feel like CM Punk could have won at least another good 5 or 10 minutes, you know. It was a good match. I really enjoyed it.
I think it wasn't about going the extra 5, because I agree that they probably could have gone longer, but that was supposed to be a slobber knocker. Like when you're going that fast pace, like probably Eddie he couldn't even want to keep up.
Right, and also like you said, like I think that's like the best build to a story in just 2 weeks time. Like they only had 2 weeks to build a match, and they made it phenomenal in just like 2 weeks.
The crowd was booing CM Punk.
Yeah, like
this is
on Rampage. That back and forth on Rampage was crazy with those two.
The name everyone chants when the wrestling is boring, they booed that man to Eddie Kingston. Like, and this dude wasn't signed a year and a half ago. Like, I can't believe how slept on Eddie Kingston has been.
Oh,
like,
dude, his promos are great.
So happy.
Eddie Kingston's the kind of guy that doesn't need to win, but still get himself over, you know, in a loss. You know, like he doesn't need to win the big high-profile matches to still be over.
100%, and that's fact, because I don't think any less Eddie Kingston. And that Players Tribune article he wrote was just beautiful. Like, I agree. Like, he might be one of those people that's never won a title and will still go down the Hall of Fame.
And his promos are his promos are probably one of the best in AEW. He's one of the best people on mic in AEW.
And recently, I've heard that he's giving some tips out to some of the younger talent. That
I think
Dante Martin. Jinx, you owe me a Coke. But yeah, Dante Martin, who also stellar start, dude. I cannot wait to see more of that Dante Martin.
He slept on too. He's very talented. He's gonna be a
Is he
big
slept on?
bright
He's
star.
only like 18, but yeah, he is.
Well, I mean, he's gonna be
definitely
a big star in AEW. I can see him being a world, like, no, maybe not world champion, but I can see him be probably TNT champ one day down the line.
Oh, he'll definitely. I mean, everyone has. Jeff Hardy was world champion too, and people would say never, but hey. And speaking of never, I never thought I would see Dan Lambert in a wrestling ring, but here we are. We got Scorpio Sky, Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, an American Top Team versus the Inner Circle in a Minneapolis street fight.
I don't know. I wasn't a fan of this match. It was good. I don't know. It was something about it that felt off to me. Like, I don't know what it was.
I just wanted to know why they had to tag each other in.
Right. If it's a street fight, it should be like everybody against everybody, you know? Like,
that's the whole point. I thought they were doing American Top Team is because they didn't want to have to worry about the rules of tagging in. Like, if you're going to use someone like Junior Dos Santos, it was Junior Dos Santos, right?
Yeah, Junior Dos Santos and Cain Velasquez. No,
it wasn't Cain Velasquez. It was
Andre
Arlovsky and Dan Lambert. And like I thought a street fight on a premise would work perfectly. They can all work outside the ring, do crowd spots. The camera doesn't have to focus on anyone.
Didn't have any tags either. Like, so.
Yeah, it was going. And then again, like, we did get to see some cool, like, I mean, Junior Dos Santos might have like something for him. He's got the charisma in the ring, and he's got the strength. I would like to see more of his matches. Andre Arlovsky didn't really care for. Did not care for that frog splash Jericho did on Dan Lambert.
You can tell Dan Lambert hasn't done much wrestling training because his selling and his landing was very, very rough.
He's also, I mean, the funny thing, he's probably the same age as Jericho, which is the sad part. Yeah. But it was definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is, and people gave Jericho's stuff for this like earlier on, like going up when Samurai Del Sol got John's name wrong.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, if you know that the Lucha Bros are going to do a tribute to Eddie Guerrero and you just saw it 3 matches earlier, I'm going to do my tribute too, and that's not going to be the ending to our match. Like, I just wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Especially when they built.
Of the year, though. Like, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, great tag team. So
Ethan Page is going to be world champion. I can see the same thing for Scorpio Sky, but I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think Sky is great. Ethan Page has it though. He has like the facials.
I wouldn't be surprised if Men of the Year win tag championships one day too.
Oh, and that's probably next for them. And this is just like and this is one thing I do like is that AEW finds a great way of putting their stars in matches that don't require titles.
Also, Dan Lambert's gotten a lot of heat recently too. Like, he's probably one of the most like hated heels in AEW as of right now. Dan Lambert.
He's great at it. And the funny thing is, it's fake. It's obviously like he's done this in other promotions, and it's hilarious the fact that people like he's just able to rile people. I kind of do the same things on like in my videos sometimes too. You say something just to get people riled up, and he's just so great at it.
You ever hear dropping the F-bomb saying wrestling's fake? How dare you? It's just messed up.
I'll blur it out. I'll bleep it out. And then the nice thing about this match, speaking of tag team champions, I think Santana Ortiz could be put in that spotlight here too, because they had a great match. Or like they were great in this match.
I just want to know what they're gonna do with like Hager. Like, Hager's just kind of been there. Like, is he gonna be like TNT champion or something, or like, you know, down the line after Guevara loses it? Like, what's he gonna do? Like,
I don't think he necessarily needs any of that.
I don't really think he needs that either. But like, he's just kind of there. I mean, you know, he's like the muscle for the Inner Circle.
Yeah, or muscle for Jericho.
He's Jericho,
with less, with less need, or with more need to be a muscle instead of being a champion.
Right.
Because especially if he's still fighting in Bellator and he still wants to fight like that, then like he doesn't he wouldn't want to hold a title. It's the Brock Lesnar thing. Is why would you want to be a champion when you could be a real champion in their eyes?
Right.
And so, and speaking of real champions, we are getting into it. Woo! And here it is, the main event of the evening. It was an epic match. It was awesome. It took 2 years to tell this story, but in the end, Hangman Adam Page is your new AEW World Championship after defeating Kenny Omega at Full Gear 2021. Man, like, I just love the way this match was built, the way it was set up, and then the match itself, like, this... the thing is, I keep saying this, it was so hard hitting. Like, literally, like, that's one, like, it felt like these guys aren't best friends backstage. And I'm like, I just don't understand it. Like, there were some parts that felt like, okay, they're pushing for the spot. But in the end, when the Bucks come out and Matt gives Hangman the nod, and then you get the 2 buckshots. And Kenny kicks out of his own kicks out of the one-winged angel. I thought he was going to win with the one-winged angel. I was like, oh, that's going to be epic.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping Hangman was going to be the first person to kick out of the one-winged angel. We did not get that, sadly. But, you know, it's someone will. I think it's probably going to have to be Okada.
I do want to mention that Hangman's entrance to the match, pretty dope. Not gonna lie, his entrance was great. The whole riding on a horse thing with the Dark Order running in the tunnel was pretty cool.
Yes, that was really cool.
Like the match, like, you know, that's long-term storytelling. 2 years for this story to take shape. You know, Hangman was out of the title picture, and then he got back into it. You know, and it was just like overall like phenomenal story, great match. It did start off slow, but then, you know, they had to tell a story with it. They started it off slow, and then I wonder, is this like going to spell the end of the Young Bucks and Omega? Because the Young Bucks did not help Kenny Omega at all to try to distract Hangman or anything.
Well, from what the aftermath has been said with all the press conferences afterwards, I believe it was TK said that this story is only 50% done. This is the halfway point for the Hangman Omega feud.
Wow.
And so we still got another 2 years left then, I guess, right? If it's 2 years to do this.
I wonder if this is like a little sidebar thing. I wonder if we see one Kevin Steen come in and reform Mount Rushmore with Adam Cole and the Young Bucks.
Oh man, like that's the thing is to think about. Like now that Hangman's the champion, now that Jay Lethal. Oh, and that's the one thing I forgot to put on. Lethal was announced.
And we get Jay Lethal versus Sammy Guevara on for the TNT title. It's gonna be kind of dope too.
Yeah, and so seeing if that becomes more than just a one-off, because is Jay Lethal, did he sign a contract? Is he all elite?
He did, yeah. They put out a thing on Twitter saying Jay Lethal's all elite. So.
Okay, well then, that's going to be interesting to see if that's going to turn into a feud, a one-off, how he's going to be used, and then with the Okada news, with Chaos being introduced, we're going to see a lot of New Japan. We're going to see a lot of Ring of Honor guys.
That his dream opponent is Chris Jericho, so we could get a Jay Lethal Chris Jericho match down the line too.
Yeah, Jericho's got to be doing that retirement tour sometime soon because he's got to do something.
Also, speaking of retirement, I want to backtrack to the CM Punk match. Is he hinting that John Cena's going to AEW? Like, you know, he did the whole shoulder thing, you know, and the spin out power bomb. You know, I'm just saying, maybe John Cena's going to AEW.
I don't know, but if he is, you'd be first to hear it from me.
On TikTok.
But I don't know. Would we even see it? We wouldn't
be able to see him. He's like a ghost.
And honestly, I think I just remembered now. When Shooting Star Press, what's his name? I can't think of his Matt Sydal debuted. I thought we already saw John Cena. He came out and gave him
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I remember that.
And so it would be his debut
it's
official
the attitude
match.
Adjustment.
Probably.
You can't say FU, it's PG. It's the attitude adjustment.
Oh, yeah. It's not the F5. This is the FU. I remember when he said that line still. Yeah. That was probably one of the highlights. Speaking of highlights, though, this was a highlight of a pay-per-view show. Joey, any other takeaways, final thoughts, and any pay-per-views you're looking forward to?
AEW, I would say... this is probably the best pay-per-view AEW's done this year. This one and All Out are probably the top two. Definitely give it 5 out of 5 stars, you know. Yeah, well, yeah, I'd give it 5 out of 5. All the matches were good. They told a story, you know. They served their purpose.
Yeah, I agree. Like, this was one of the most well-rounded pay-per-views that they've had. With exception to the American Top Team match, I felt like this was just great matches all around. But we both have some individual independent wrestling shows we're both going to be attending to in the next few months. I know I'm going to be going to LA Fights the GCW sister promotion in LA, and then I'll also be going to GCW Blood in the Hills. Joey, are you going to a show here soon too?
I am. I'm going to GCW. I forgot the name of it, but it's in December 4th, actually. And then I'll be going to a world-class pro wrestling show the next week. It's a Christmas Star Wars Christmas show in December 11th. And then in January, I'll be going to MLW. So I got a lot of wrestling lined up here in the next, year, or next couple months, I should say. So.
Yes. And the great part about independent wrestling coming around now is that we are able to go out and see it. We are not quarantined in our house anymore, so as long as you stay safe, stay healthy,
wear a mask,
and
all that.
Do all the requirements that your county is restricting on you, then by all means, go out and have fun. Enjoy some professional wrestling, because a lot of these wrestlers just lost their jobs recently in different forms and fashions, and they're going to be, this is, when they travel from city to city, they do it for us and for our entertainment.
You can also enjoy a WWE show, just because their product's not good doesn't mean you have to enjoy their show. You can still watch the WWE product if you're a WWE fan.
Yes, and by all means, if you like, but I know WWE only hits the major markets.
Right.
So if you're not in those major markets, and so, but you do still probably have wrestling around. So just Google who's in your area, find it on Instagram, Twitter, be a part of the independent wrestling community, and let's enjoy this magnificent sport we love. All right, now I have to go watch the Rams get beat down by the 49ers, sadly. So.
I will enjoy that. Cowboys will be in second
You will
place.
not. You will enjoy the comeback, and then when we defeat the Cowboys in Jerry World, and then go home and win the Super Bowl.
I thought we were gonna play you in LA. Is that not happening anymore?
No, at this point, now I want the Rams to defeat the Cowboys in Jerry World, just so you can cry at home.
I mean, it's probably gonna happen. Cowboys have disappointed me for 26 years. So.
Yeah, well, make it 27. All right, guys, and this has been another episode of the Pay-Per-View Recap Show. I have been your host, the Macho Fan, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, the one, the only, the non-infamous Joey Irving.
Just Joey Irving.